You're born a black girl like you just pulled the golden ticket. Except instead of chocolate, you win double shifts of generational trauma, a lifetime of people touching your hair without permission, and strangers assuming your resting face is a threat assessment. There's no guidebook waiting for you, just a history that's jagged, bloody, and forever brushed aside. You learn early that being a girl doesn't make you soft, it makes you a target. You're 5 when a teacher calls you sassy for asking a question. You're 9 when you get in trouble for attitude, while the white boy next to you throws a chair and gets a pep talk. By middle school, you've already figured out you have to grow up fast because the world won't let you be a child for long. Work? That's a circus with better lighting. You code switch like your salary depends on it, because it does. Speak too casually, you're unprofessional. Speak too firmly, you're intimidating. Show up with braids or an afro, and suddenly it's a statement. Meanwhile, Karen comes in with bedhead and gets called relatable. Black excellence? That's not an aspiration, that's your seatbelt. You can never be average. You have to be extraordinary just to get called normal. You smile wider, speak smoother, stand straighter, because anything less, and suddenly you're hostile, aggressive, or someone's think piece about angry black women. Mess up once? Congrats, you just became a cautionary tale. You spend your life editing yourself, like a museum exhibit curated for mass consumption. You're either not black enough or too black, depending on who's talking. Too polished? You're accused of forgetting where you came from. Too real? You're a problem. Apparently, there's a secret formula for acceptable black womanhood, and no one ever sends you the memo. Then there's your body, the battlefield no one warns you about. You go to the doctor in pain, and they assume you're exaggerating. Your pain threshold is treated like a myth. You give birth, and your concerns get brushed aside, as if black women don't know when something's wrong with their own bodies. Your maternal mortality rates are a crisis, but it's treated like a footnote. You ask for help and get told to tough it out, as if strength is supposed to be your default setting. Your hair gets policed like it's a national threat. Your curves are either hypersexualized or mocked. Fashion brands steal your look, then call it edgy on someone else. You're told to love yourself, but every ad, every casting call, every corporate policy sends the opposite message. You learn to be your own advocate in exam rooms, in boardrooms, in classrooms. You learn to say things twice because people hear your words but not your urgency. You learn that protecting yourself often means explaining your humanity over and over again to people who don't want to listen. Dating? Oh, it's a clown parade. You get the ones who say, I've always wanted to be with a black girl, like you're a limited edition sneaker drop. Or the ones who say, you're not like other black women, which is just racism with bad grammar. My type is strong black women. Translation: you like the fantasy of my strength, not the reality of my exhaustion. Representation on screen? A nightmare and a punchline. You grow up seeing yourself as the sidekick, the tragic victim, or the one who dies before the second act. If a black woman gets to be the lead, critics call it niche or too urban. Apparently, watching white teens fight zombies is universal, but watching you pay rent and live your life is too specific. Police do not protect you, they supervise you. Sirens don't mean safety. They mean slow your breath, keep your hands visible, turn your voice into a lullaby. You rehearse how to stay alive the way some people rehearse for auditions. And even then, you know your politeness isn't a shield. Everyone loves black women until it's time to love black women. They want your slang, your style, your edge, your rhythm. They want your whole vibe, bottled, filtered, and sold on TikTok. But speak up about racism or sexism, and suddenly you're bitter, angry, divisive. Funny how your culture is trendy, but your humanity is too political. Schools feed you the kid-friendly version of black history. Harriet Tubman, the helper, MLK, the dreamer. Rosa Parks, the tired lady who just wanted to sit. No one mentions redlining, forced sterilizations, or how black women built movements that whitewashed textbooks barely acknowledge. They serve you history like it's a Disney montage, with all the rage and resistance scrubbed out. You can't even count on clean air. Your neighborhood gets the factory fumes, the power plant runoff, the highway noise. You grow up breathing asthma into your lungs and calling it normal. When you complain, they say you're exaggerating. If it happened in a gated community, it'd be a national crisis. You're expected to forgive on demand. A politician says something vile, and people ask you to be gracious. A cop kills someone who looks like your cousin, and you're told to stay calm and polite. Protest peacefully? Too soft. Protest loudly? Too much. React with rage? See, that's the problem with you people. Even your joy gets monitored. Laugh too loud, it's ghetto. Dress too bold, it's unprofessional. Celebrate your culture, and suddenly it's divisive. Dance, and it's copied. Cry, and it's dismissed. Win, and people ask if it was affirmative action. Lose, and they tell you to work harder. Every election year, you suddenly become America's emergency contact. They roll out the red carpet, not for your dignity, but for your vote. Suddenly, the pundits remember your name. The campaigns discover gospel choirs, and everyone's favorite phrase is, Black women will save us. You're supposed to show up, line up, stand in line for 6 hours with a folding chair and a bottle of water, if the state even lets you keep the water. They call you the backbone of democracy, then cut funding for the neighborhoods where your spine lives. Your polling place closes early, your ballot gets lost, your district gets carved up like it's a Thanksgiving turkey. And when you point it out, they say you're imagining things. You're good enough to be the savior in headlines, never the priority in legislation. You save their elections, they forget your names by January. You're told to vote like your life depends on it, because it actually does, while people who never had to fight for the right to vote lecture you about being civic-minded. You don't want to be a mascot for democracy. You just want a democracy that remembers you exist after the campaign confetti is swept away. Therapy? If you find a black woman therapist who gets you, guard her like the last phone charger at the airport. Most others tell you to stop thinking about race so much. That's like telling the ocean to stop thinking about water. They don't get that your exhaustion isn't paranoia. It's decades of microcuts that never got to heal. Even in death, you get less dignity. The press digs through your past for dirt, but polishes your killer's history until it shines. Justice for you is a lottery, and your ticket's usually a dud.